Welcome back. Welcome once again to Electric Avenue's weekly update here at May 27th, 2022. And I've got a few things I want to talk about today and give you the update on what new releases we have this week. You probably notice if you watch a lot of these videos that I don't really get real heavy into like audiophile pressings and stuff like that, and I think that stuff is great. Um, I'm sort of, I guess, I kind of cater to kind of like the average sort of buyer, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a lot of times you have to have more money for that stuff. So I'm just trying to give you a general lowdown of what's sort of on the street this week. So sometimes you'll see some things, but yeah, I'm sure there's other channels that you probably go to for that stuff. So this week, the big new release, I suppose, would be the new Liam Gallagher. Come on, you know. Liam, everyone sort of knows as the former former lead singer of Oasis. Well, both he and his brother Noel, who couldn't seem to get along and have been broken up now for almost as long as the band was together, it seems. But this is Liam's third solo record after a couple of Beady Eye albums. And I've really liked his solo stuff. I think some people kind of are down on it because they're like, oh, it's a maybe poppier or sort of watered down version of Oasis. But he's usually very tuneful, works with people like Greg Kurstin, who's a great producer. I don't think there's anything wrong with this stuff. In fact, I almost really honestly, my personal opinion is that some of it is more catchy or tuneful than what his brother does. So there's reasons to like both of the Gallaghers, I think. And Liam really keeps it going this week with there's a special indie store exclusive version of this album. Interesting way to package it. It's a clear vinyl with a plastic sleeve that has the title, Come On You Know, written on it and information on the back. They sort of blew up the artwork so you can see his face here. I think this is an interesting fan piece. I don't know if I always like it when they forego like a cardboard sleeve for something like this. But if you want the clear vinyl and you're a collector, that's what you're going to do. Probably the one I'll be getting. And another release, since Liam couldn't just leave it simple this week, to really hammer it home, this is Down by the Thames, which is a live album that he's put out with his current band. It's on limited orange vinyl, and this is cool because it's got not only solo material, but it's got a lot of Oasis stuff too. Towards the end here, you get Supersonic, Champagne Supernova, Cigarettes and Alcohol, Morning Glory. Probably the one thing that people would say that is missing is Wonderwall. And how many times have we all heard that song anyway? So there you go. Liam Gallagher hitting it out of the park this week. Another sort of return from even further back, and they keep making records, Def Leppard and their new record, Diamond Star Halos. Boy, that lyric seems obviously lifted from a T-Rex song. And their brand new studio album, their first in 7 years. This is the limited indie clear vinyl edition. The picture of them on the back. Joe Elliott looking bathed in red, sort of kind of spooky light there. All right. Anyway, what do I have to say about this? They've been sort of toying with more of their love for glam rock and things like that. So apparently that sort of seeps into this album a bit. Obviously from the title, Illusions. So check it out. Probably worth your time there. Take Me to the River. New Orleans. So, this is a collection of things that are New Orleans related. It also features brand new recordings of the final performances from the Neville Brothers and Dr. John. There's a 60-page book included. It's double colored vinyl. There's a download card with 8 bonus tracks. I see everything from In Love with Minola by Cyril Neville with Voices of the Wetlands to Yes We Can featuring Snoop Dogg, G-Eazy, and William Bell. Irma Thomas is on here. Yeah, Soul Rebels, Aaron Neville, Dr. John. There's a lot of cool stuff here. This is kind of I don't know, I'd say it's sort of a archival type release. So, in other words, it's not cheap. Not super expensive for what it is, though. So I don't know how much of this I can show. The new Doja Cat. Well, Doja Cat, very popular right now, winning lots of awards and all over radio. And this record came out on CD several months ago. So we're finally getting the vinyl. The vinyl was heavily allocated, so we won't have very many of them. But she's quite popular right now. So check out Doja Cat. Bruce Hornsby, his new solo record, Flicted. Let's see, the follow-up to critically acclaimed albums Absolute Zero and Non-Secure Connection, limited edition yellow vinyl. Well, if you followed Bruce Hornsby for the last 35 years and you know of his connections with the Grateful Dead, I'm sure you'll probably know what that almost sounds like before you've heard it. Dead. And that's D-E-H-D, Dead. And this is their new record. It's on limited pink lipstick vinyl. It's called Blue Skies. They are sort of an alternative indie band with a divorced couple at the helm, getting a lot of critical praise. So, Frighteners, always. That's a great album cover too. This is on Daptone. And this is the red with blue splatter vinyl. They return with a soulful, genre-defying masterpiece featuring the last known vocal recordings from the legendary Dan Klein. Yeah. So I don't know. It's listed as a 2022 release. Okay, so on to some catalog items. Olivia Newton-John, Physical. I don't know which way this should go. That way. So, yeah, this is the 40th anniversary edition, 180 gram vinyl from the original master tapes. Includes a 2 by 3 foot poster. We all know it's all about the poster. Now, I remember when this record came out. That'll sort of date me. And it was, oh my gosh, it was so popular. It was like kind of almost Thriller sized before Thriller, and it's a pretty good album. It's very pop. She'd kind of, this was her sort of making the full transition from country rock into pop, although I guess Totally Hot, she did that a little earlier, somewhat with a little rock edge, but this was a little more pop. Obviously features Physical, which spent 10 weeks on the top of the Billboard pop charts at the time and was, I think, the longest running number one hit, which was it had just been, I remember it had just been Betty Davis Eyes by Kim Carnes had spent 9 weeks at number one, and then Physical came along just a couple weeks later and sort of broke that record. So now things can stay at number one for forever because it all just depends on like what people are streaming and downloading, and yeah, I don't know, it's not really the same. Hey, Sex Pistols, the original recordings. So Sex Pistols collection, there's a new movie coming out with, I believe Danny Boyle directed it. I mean, this has all the sort of biggest hits. which is interesting. I suppose most people would be like, well, all I really need is Never Mind the Bollocks. And that's actually getting difficult to find right now because they aren't pressing it or haven't been pressing it in the US recently. We've been having to pay for expensive UK imports of that album. So this is not cheap either, but you get a little more music, I suppose. But there really only was one album, technically, right? So anyway, another collection out, Cranberries, Stars. This is probably a little more of a comprehensive greatest hits than the Dreams collection that was out. That was a single record. This one actually has Ode to My Family on it. So it's a little bit more like, okay, all of the songs are there. It's also a little more expensive. It's a double record. The other one was a single. So it kind of crammed a lot of songs on it, but it's good for the value of what you get. So another great artist from the past, still putting out music now, but it's a catalog piece for Michelle Indegocello. It's called Bitter. Say that name 5 times fast. I've had lots of practice. I hope it's close. Pardon me, Michelle, if it's not quite right. This was a great album of hers, came out in, I think, the late 90s. 99. It was on Maverick Records, which was Madonna's label. And yeah, she was a great, or is a great, jazz, funk, soul kind of, bass playing singer, songwriter, and unique. This is number 479, so they're all individually marked, and this has a bunch of instrumentals on it and alternates, so there's bonus material on that. A lot of people were sort of excited by her album Peace Beyond Passion that came out one of the more recent record store days. So Pennywise, Full Circle, kind of a classic punk or I suppose alternative rock album, really. 1997, Pennywise. Also from that sort of era, Get Up Kids on a Wire. So Vagrant is putting out some Get Up Kids stuff now, which is good because there are fans that still like them and want that stuff. Well, I don't know what to say about this. Apparently, there was a stage walk-off this week, and everyone's all speculating like, oh, Connor Oberst is having lots of problems still. But Bright Eyes, this is basically Fever and Mirrors, and it's, well, the bonus material. It's a companion, and it says features newly recorded versions of classic songs from the era of Fever and Mirrors, including, it lists the songs, and then Phoebe Bridgers is a guest artist on it. Then there's also Letting Off the Happiness, and that one features Phoebe Bridgers, Katie Crutchfield of Waxahachie, M. Ward, and others, and a collection of songs, which is the EP stuff, and 95 to 97. And this features, it's just Connor stuff, but Mike Mogus is on it. So anyway, there you go. A trio of Bright Eyes reissues. Aretha Franklin, Amazing Grace. This looks pretty cool. This is at Atlantic Records or Rhino. I'm not sure which. They're all kind of under the Warner umbrella, but 50th anniversary of her best-selling album of all time, which was her gospel album, and it's limited edition white vinyl. So I love that picture. It's great. Okay. Blue Note. I don't usually have these so buried down in the video, but Ronnie Foster. And this one is called Two-Headed Freep. And these are from a little bit later in Blue Note's catalog, but this is, they're all made in Germany. And this is mastered by Kevin Gray at Coherent from the original analog tapes. as have been the others in that series. So the other one that came out or is coming out today is Brother Jack McDuff, and this one's called Moon Rappin', and that's a crazy album cover. It's pretty cool though. Yeah, so, and the same thing, this is sort of like a slightly later, originally released in 1970. So Blue Note paying attention to some other parts of their catalog. Um, Lastly, in the reissues here, Sparks. So they continue their reissue campaign with a couple more of their 90s into current albums that were not previously on vinyl. And the CDs that are coming out have bonus songs on them that are not on the vinyl too. So the company is basically BMG is trying to make you buy all the different formats. But Exotic Creatures of the Deep is a great album. Black Vinyl, there's still hope for the world. It says NME about this. This one has a great song, Good Morning, which is a great morning song. This is the album that has Let the Monkey Drive, She Got Me Pregnant, Lighten Up Morrissey, The Director Never Yelled Cut, and the probably the best song title on here. I can't believe that you would fall for all the crap in this song. And basically they do a lot of sort of repetitions of those titles during that era, but it's a great sort of typical awesomely fun Sparks album. And then this one, which is was very hard to find at the time even, is The Seduction of Ingmar Bergman. And this is a very odd sort of record in Sparks' catalog because it's more almost like a storytelling session or a film that's basically being narrated, and you've got different kind of guest vocalists playing different roles, with the lead singer Sparks, Russell, sort of being the narrator, the overall sort of like storyteller, and playing a couple of parts himself. Musically, it's probably closer to like their recent movie score for, or soundtrack for, Annette. Maybe not quite as stark as that, but yeah, it's entertaining. It's not for everybody. All right. And you kind of have to know a little bit about the Ingmar Bergman story also for it to even sort of have a little bit of resonance. But that's a mini review. Okay. Yeah, I like Sparks a lot. Have for a long time. So, yeah, what does that say about me? Okay. I did want to, before I leave today, sort of address the situation with the recent price increases that Universal have put into place. So, as we all know, we've had supply chain issues and backups. We've had excessive demand of product. We've had sort of a sense of opportunism where people at the record companies, or any sort of company in general, whether it's food or whatever, say like, oh, the price of everything is going up. Here's our chance to capitalize on this. I will tell you right now that most stores out there that are on the up and up are not out there just, trying to mark up prices to make it seem like everything is more expensive. If anything, we're trying to keep our prices sort of like as reasonable as possible, because we're the ones that are also getting squeezed, and it's not a good scene or feeling when you are the most expensive store on the block. So you try not to be that, but there are certain situations that you just can't avoid, and this is one of them. So Universal put out a letter saying that they were going to be raising prices, and there was no sort of like explanation as to why, which is sort of typical, but it's like, here's what it's going to be. You guys figure out how you're going to make this work. The ramifications of this, let me give you a couple of examples. Here's an Amy Winehouse record a lot of people have, Back to Black. Great album. It should be in everybody's collection. This album was retailing for between $20 and $22, I'll say, maybe like 2 years ago. It has crept up to about 23, 24 on average. We've had these mini little price increases over the past year or so that were kind of like, you could see that there was someone kind of playing with the numbers, and in most cases it was just because distributors were being squeezed by the manufacturers as well. They really didn't have a choice, and or they would also say like, hey, now's the time to make a little cash. Okay, so that record is now going to be roughly $31 in our store, and going from 23 or whatever, 24, we're talking like $7 to $8 overnight, right? For an album that's really fairly old, and I don't even think that this is a 180 gram record, but it's a great album. So because they're popular, is that sort of the reason? I'll pick one of the most egregious examples, in my opinion. Kanye West's Late Registration. Hip hop classic already, right? And this album was selling here for $27, $28, something like that. And it had crept up over time. It was 25, 26 a couple years ago. Now they want $44.98 for it, or $45. Is it because Kanye West is popular? That's part of it. Is it because of all these supply chain shortages? That's part of it. Is it because they can't make the product fast enough? So I have a suspicion that not only is this like an opportunity for companies to say, we've kind of now have this new audience of young buyers that discovered records during the pandemic. So it's good to sort of raise the prices now because, look, all the transportation costs have gone up. Getting the materials, everything has gone up. Even transporting the materials has gone up. So there's that. And they're sort of looking at it saying, well, if we raise it now, then we don't have to mess with it later because it'll already be higher. There's also the feeling that, are they doing this to kind of combat what I call the casual buyer, and basically weed out the people that would normally spend $25, $30 on a record, US dollars I'm talking, and kind of like focus on the ones that are like super fans that are like, I'll pay anything for this record, and then they don't have to make as many of them. So they're not under that pressure and they can focus on other things. And when you're talking classics like Amy and Kanye, yay, those things are like almost built-in sales because they're always going to be popular. They're like Fleetwood Mac Rumors, Michael Jackson Thriller. They're never going to stop selling at this point. So I think that's where they're seeing their sort of price hikes. It didn't seem like they were doing it on quite as many of the sort of lesser known artists, although, even like Glass Animals and people like that, I know they've had a #1 hit. But, those kinds of things, they'd already sort of done it with people like Lana Del Rey, The Weeknd. Those prices were in the $45 to $50 range on some of their newer releases. So what you're going to start seeing as a consumer is, don't be shocked, but you're going to see, and it will be shocking, some records in the $40 to $50 range. Will that be a sort of deterrent to the whole vinyl revival? Possibly. And it is sort of concerning, and I've already seen some hints that Warner and Sony may follow suit. In fact, I saw in England that Warner is already stepping in with their own list of price increases. And this is sort of where those things sort of start rolling from. So, what do I have to say to people right now? If you're on the fence about an item that you've been putting off wanting to get, maybe now's the time to kind of think about getting some of that stuff, because I hesitate to say that, the country is headed for a recession, although that's been sort of like in the news a lot. But as far as records go, you're probably going to be paying a lot more for a record that you want, even 3 to 6 months from now. So, and with a lot of things coming up like high school graduations, Father's Day, there are, things that you might want to be thinking about picking up sooner than later. Of course, when I say that, I know that that's going to create more stress on the system, because then they have to put out more records to adjust for what's selling. But, and I'm not saying that when prices go up, you should not buy anything because things are more expensive. It's really all relative, and it might make some people more selective. It might make younger buyers go, I don't really know if this was for me. And so that's the concerning aspect. It sort of reminds me of eras when they did this with CDs. And, that's how long I've seen this happening. Been in the business for 35 years now. Yeah, I started when I was 10. So, anyway, the point is, be aware of what's going on. Get out there, support your local record stores. Try not to just give everything over to the corporations, because these are the ramifications of that sort of thing. I know that you want that color pressing of blah blah at Target, but maybe don't think so much about that and think more about where your dollars are actually going. All right, my video is getting long. Thank you for watching. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. Be safe. See you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.